fans, at least one, paying 200 euro? No, pounds. Sorry, I had to remember where Wardy came from. 200 pounds to actually spectate these games in the lobby, which is really cool. Obviously, big thank you for the huge support. And guys, there are more lobby slots for next week. If you go, wow, that's actually a really cool award, that sounds worthwhile, and you want to actually donate to the Kickstarter that's happening and give the players more money, give the casters some money, which most of us might give to the players anyways, so on and so forth. Just letting everyone know that's available, and a big shout out to the people supporting this tournament. But it is on your player first, DeMusliM, so I'll let you go first.
Thank you for that one, and yeah, rightly so with the players, or rather the people supporting the tournament. Thank you so much for making this happen. Spawning over in the top left of Curious Minds, it is Nightmare.
And in the bottom right, he is the green Terran eThermal.
eThermal's always tricky in TVP. Like, I know for a while he was one of these guys that was doing like a TVT opening in TVP a lot. He's always had sickeningly good micro. Even when he's not been super duper on top of the European scene, he's never faltered when it comes to micro. And I think he was actually your star player last season, right?
Yes, he was. You know, most people didn't realize that, and we certainly didn't realize it until too late in the season. So we stopped sending innovation out for the ace match, like the last match. But yeah, he won so many more of his games, and innovation lost so many more of his games. People remember that, but they don't remember that eThermal actually won. I don't know what the percentage was of his games, but he won against so many heavy hitters that we just simply didn't expect. Like, I think versus Rogue was maybe the big one in my mind. So he does perform well in the team league. That's pretty much the reason I chose him, as well as just being like strong team leader type situation. But he has recently not been having the greatest time against Protoss, 100%. So I do think in the past he's had similar sentiments. Not really ever been a fan of TVP perhaps, but yeah, his builds, his win percentage, it wasn't that bad. But nowadays, I think he'll argue that it is actually just, you know, one of his worst matchups, legit.
It's really hard to get yourself out of that mindset too. Like, if you, like, he's very open about his loathing of the matchup, you know, and I know he has his own cheeky swing on things, but yeah, just talking about the good parts of eThermal. Yeah, last season I will never forget him against Rogue. And I seem to remember him being like your sacrifice pick as well, like to go up against the big hitters, and he'd actually do really well, which is really surprising, because he went on a lot of bad Terra maps against a lot of really good players, and it was like, holy shit, eThermal's holding more than his own here. So definitely one of the scarier players to go up against with Nightmare, and we'll see what he does, because eThermal's very scary in these situations where he pulls out a build like this that isn't super orthodox against a player that he's probably never played against before.
Yeah, he was asking people in our chat, like, hey, do you have any insight? And the only thing we had was that he could be a bit cheesy. You know, Showtime was like, he's pretty cheesy in PvP, but that's, I think it might be common knowledge roughly for Nightmare. Although he's not so far doing anything aggressive, actually a very typical blink opener, even maybe a little bit late to that blink after dealing with the Hellions. But that is, you know, fairly typical. I do think eThermal, you know, he's had versus Protoss so far, or well, one other time I should say, versus HeRoMaRinE, and it actually looked quite solid. So I do know that there's like the foundation there, absolutely still, but he does sometimes get into his own head. I know HeRoMaRiNE's been giving him a little bit of like tips and advice for certain situations. Hopefully he can actually, I don't know, it'd be awesome if it improves, right? To be wholesome for just 1 second, it'd be awesome if some of our players actually find the experience kind of rewarding heading into, let's say, like quote unquote, the real tournaments. And those do start a little bit later on. It's only a month away, actually. I'm very excited to get back into the regionals for DreamHack.
Real tournament, ZombieGrub? I'll have you know, my boys have been waiting for this moment to finally all get together once again, you know? Like, different teams have been picking them up, you know, but finally they get to be together as they hoped. All of them were messaging me like, yeah, pick me, we all want to be together again. But yeah, very standard game here coming out from Nightmare. Like, it's a safe Stalker build, as you said, and it's going into a Nexus here, a third Nexus at that, so nothing super cheesy from him. And so far, he hasn't taken any real damage from eThermal, and he's probably going to be feeling pretty good about this.
Yeah, it probably is something of a... you know, it's too sticky of a label for Nightmare to say that he's just a cheeser. I mean, PvP is PvP, and especially like Korean PvP. All right, so we don't even like it's hard to say like anyone's actually cheesy over there when everyone does the same thing. Very aggressive openers, that is. But Otherwise, Nightmare is probably still most popular for his DT Blink build when no one else was doing it, when legitimately no one else thought it was good except Fear Dragon against Gumiho. So I think that's like really stuck out in people's minds. Nightmare isn't maybe exactly just that type of player. I know he played, pretty solid game versus Keen. Got behind early. I didn't actually catch what the opening was in that game, but I just know that he was already behind by the time I tuned in, but he still almost brought it back.
Yeah, the fact that he started bringing that back, he went for a Phoenix opening, and he actually caught the Widow Mines and stuff, but then some of the early engagements just didn't go his way at all. eThermal whipping out something very interesting here, which 2 barracks, like it was the weird, 2 gas opening into 2-1-1, basically. And this can really catch you massively off guard, but this isn't something that eThermal was banking on. The fact that 4 crazy Stalkers show up, especially in this matchup, like Nightmare looks like he's playing almost a PvP if it wasn't for the Colossus and everything else going on. But yeah, it's gonna be scary.
Yeah. eThermal bringing out a very aggressive opener, actually, all things considered. I mean, he doesn't hit exactly the time of the 2-1-1, so it's really not all that fast, but still 6 minutes when Nightmare just really wasn't expecting it. He had no vision on what the build was until he got the Observer cross, till he blinked up. So this is already very awkward. The Shield Battery Overcharge will save units in the main. The same cannot be said for the Natural. It doesn't even have a Shield Battery in general. The Pylon being depowered will stop that Chronode Colossus, and hello, eThermal. Please win this game, because I actually think if he wins this game, we have a strong chance of defeating you guys. Oh, yes! eThermal did it again! Yeah!
I'm happy that you're happy, ZombieGrub, okay? Like, I'm not going to bring you down. eThermal played really well. This caught Nightmare completely off guard. That Colossus not coming out, it was like, 80% done-ish, which would have definitely helped his situation. But, man, Mark, coming out with this kind of play, and oh my god, he's going for the Colossus as well. I mean, he's at least going to get it a bit orange here, at least. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, very nicely handled by eThermal. He's coming out with another army as well. Like, this isn't going to slow down at all.
Yeah, the only problem would be if it slowed down. I mean, problem would actually be too strong of a statement, because eThermal still is like his third on the way. Work account, is even, not good for Protoss, but there's always that fear. You let it slow down a bit too much, suddenly you're dealing with Zealot harassment, something like that. Well, there's no fear if you just actually kill him right here, right now, which seems like it might just happen. That one Colossus not going to be able to stand on its 4 legs, and this second Colossus, I don't think it's going to get out, man.
Me neither. And even if it did, comes out into a lot of little green boys over here, and eThermal, wow, bringing the fire, and yet again in a completely different series, but oh man, I tell you, eThermal, scary.
Yeah. What's funny though is like, okay, this obviously isn't such like a David versus Goliath, yeah, Goliath story as it was versus Rogue, but it feels like eThermal might just have some good times with some 2-1-1-esque builds, right? Something that isn't exactly like, let's say undependable, like that's cheesy or that can fail really hard if it just meets like the wrong thing, but is still an early way for him to get damage done, right? To control the scenario a little bit. I don't want to look too much into it, but it did give me a little bit of the feeling of versus Rogue. I was like, huh, this is a cool build. Oh, it's actually working. Oh, it's like really working. Huh.
Yeah, it was really nicely done by him. Like, I know a lot of Europeans have gone up against eThermal doing that kind of stuff. He definitely went through a phase, but I think it's very smart for him to pull something out like that against somebody that he hasn't played against before, and probably has very little knowledge about eThermal, despite him being a mainstay of Europe for a long ass time, So yeah, smart build order choice by eThermal, well handled, and just everything went awry, right? Like no shield battery in that natural there. That was greedy by Nightmare, to say the least. And yeah, curious as well, like blinking across the map to blink into the main. That was I don't know what you ideally hope to get done with those 4 Stalkers besides picking off a few SCVs here and there, but it's still kind of crazy to not kind of either super commit or, yeah, a little bit of harass there. Just a little bit weird, considering he's the one going up to 3 bases faster to then start harassing as well.
Yeah, I think it was... I'm not exactly sure what Nightmare had scouted, to be honest, because we're talking about other things. So I don't know if he had 0 scouting information and thought like, this guy can be kind of weird and was defending against maybe, again, like earlier attacks, Hellion, something like that. A Hellion drop perhaps is what he's thinking with the shield battery in the main. I don't know, but obviously blinking up into a Cyclone wasn't going to get him very much. And then he just had no idea what the actual attack was going to be. Otherwise, I think he would have had his Stalkers just sit in position, right? As you said, he had 3 bases, no reason to play around. But anyways, we spawn on my guy first, so get into the introductions for game 2. In the top left, he is the green Zerg, Rattata.
One of the greatest name changes in StarCraft 2 history. Don't you agree, ZombieGrub?
Right up there with P7 Gab turning his name into Wookiee.
I've never heard that one before. And spawning over in the bottom right, representing Benny and his other boys, it is Ryung.
Oh, really? That's Zest's old names.
What, really?
Yeah, he was P7 Gab, which like turned into something really cool in Korean. And then he changed it to Wookiee when he went to StarCraft 2, and people were like, ooh, not the best name change. And then he settled on Zest, which is much better.
I mean, that is a lot better. Like, when I think about name changes now, and I think of Major with a lot of his little nicknames that he had, because he obviously changed a lot, but when he first went to Special, I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. But now I can't see him as anything else, you know? Like, I think that was actually a really good one. Rattata. That one always makes me giggle a little bit, because I'm like, why? Vanya was so cool.
It is kind of weird. I've never heard his exact explanation. I think he had a very simple explanation. It seemed like it wasn't the whole of it. Like, his actual explanation is something that he holds deep in his heart, where actually, like, Rattata, level 6 Rattata was captured when he was 12, and it won the Pokemon game for him. And it gave him, like, the confidence boost to do well in school and believe in himself to become a StarCraft 2 pro gamer. But it's too, like, Hallmark channel, so he's like, oh, I just thought he's a cool Pokemon. Don't worry about it.
Okay, because, you know, if I think about calling myself a Pokemon, like, I'm gonna go back to the old school, like, the 150-ish Pokemon, right? I don't go with freaking Pidgey or something. I like, at least you could have gone for, like, Raticate, you know, or, like...
Oh, you mean like first evolution?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I was like, those are all first 150 Pokemon.
Yeah. I just mean, like, some of the shitty little ones, you know, like, if I'm Squirtle... No, I'm Blastoise.
Ah, but Squirtle Squad.
Hell no.
Blastoise Squad does not have the same ring.
I'm not about this life anyway. But either way, I guess I am 32. Oh my god, my kid's gonna grow up wanting to do Pokemon.
Your kids are gonna grow up saying, "I like the first 800 Pokemon, but these new 800 are just they're just too much." Isn't that amazing?
I'm gonna feel. I'm be like, I know that one. It's gonna like, Dad, please, like, stop. Like, you're embarrassing me. And I'm like, God damn it.
You're gonna be calling all our TS games StarCrafts, like all the families called the Nintendo.
Nice StarCrafts game, Dad. I'm like, oh my god. Go
play a StarCrafts. All right, there's a 3cc build coming out from your boy here, which he's gonna get away with. Rattata. I mean, now that we're not talking about maybe like a really quick ZVZ, which so far is what my Zerg player has been up against. We do know him as someone who really likes, like, roaches, for instance. I know he has not just purely stayed on roaches, but still, when I think of Vanya, I think of Rattata, I think of, like, 1/1 roach. It is Pride of Alteris, though, which, yeah, I'm less inclined to believe. I mean, if this was Curious Minds, there we go. I'm happy I didn't remember. Then it'd be 100%. But now I'm wondering what Rattata's going to do. He was actually a little scared of a 2-Rax. So some of his Overlord movement was a little bit different, but now he just really needs to actually see that it's a 3cc. And the lack of supply depots at the front, I just told him.
Yeah, definitely. Ryung's build is cool. It's kind of the build. What was that? Romanticide. Like, this was super popular on Romanticide for quite some time here. The 2-on-1 after the 3cc. Clem was definitely one guy that really lived and died by this build on that map. It can definitely get a lot of damage done. Like, seeing the lack of Hellions with this, Rattata will start to be thinking, like, all right, there's something else behind this. And I think every Zerg that's professional these days definitely got to play a lot against this build, and I think he's smart enough to know exactly what's going on.
I would hope so. There are definitely the more subtle signs, but still definitely signs to pro gamers. Absolutely correct. And I think it's sometimes a question of honestly, how warmed up they are, and not just like mechanically, like how warmed up their keyboard hand is or whatever, but actually just like what they've played recently. So sometimes, I don't know, this certainly happens to me anyways, but I think we see it with pros too, where we're like, this seems like a pretty obvious tell. Oh, they didn't realize it. We ask them later and they're like, yeah, I just wasn't thinking, basically. Like, Neeb didn't know that was a fusion core instead of an armor yesterday, and it's like, you know, that happens. That happens even in the pros. So it's like, did Rattata have a lot of ZVT practice? I actually think he might have. Rattata has really been quite gung-ho about his matches. Like, he's always like strategizing and like wanting to practice for it. So I'm hoping he's in the right mindset, kind of figuring this out.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Ryung is going to start moving out now. There's a little bit of a supply block here for Rattata, which sucks for him. The creep spread is looking not too bad, though. These bases are relatively well covered. Another Overlord might fall down here to Ryung, which will be another supply block. And this is starting to get a little bit scary if he is going to be under pressure sometime soon. Starts with his Hydralisk Den as well.
Yeah. Fortunately, he built quite a few Overlords. Probably anticipating one more Overlord death because he was trying to pull that back, obviously. No Baneling speed, but enough creep spread. I mean, this definitely could be a much worse start for Rattata, but with what I would say is a delayed scout in the 3cc, and maybe it's not the best feeling game for him. But I mean, keep our fundamentals in check, I guess. There's always that shot, but Ryung has really proven himself over the last like 2 months, actually. Like, really, Katowice, I think, is where he really proved himself on top of his GSL surprise performance. That he's no slouch.
Yeah, he really came in strong with his TVP and TVT. Like, he's always been a good TVT player, but TVZ might be the one where it's a bit like, okay, this is more mechanically demanding about your speed as opposed to just your brain, which he is very, very smart when it comes down to it, very patient as well. But yeah, Rattata is a real test for him to see how well he does. And there is a very small 1-1 timing here that he has if he wants to hit it. But we do see both these players are evolving beyond that kind of situation. And fourth base will be under threat here very soon. And Ryung's army is actually starting to look quite decent. Is moving out with a second squad as well.
Rattata has a Baneling set up. There's actually a Reaper that I'm guessing Ryung just forgot about, which would have been, funnily enough, great to scout. The Hellion scout, however, and this was perhaps intentional from Ryung, actually. Nicely done by him, if so. So nothing going to happen to his SEV line. It was also covered by a bit of a wall and tank, so questionable. A lot of SEVs would have gone down anyways. But more importantly, yeah, what can Ryung do with these two-pronged attacks? Ryung is going to run into Ling Baneling on one side. Whoops, daisy, sorry. And then the other side should be covered too, actually.
Look at that resources lost tab, by the way. Like, I know it's meant to look Terran favored, but Ryung's trading really damn well. But despite all that, Rattata's supply is still absolutely keeping up. He's hitting the upgrades, going for the melee upgrade before the Carapace. Hopefully he remembers the Carapace, because that can sometimes bite you in the butt pretty hard, and decent Baneling connections from him as well. Really decent.
One of the reasons that I threw out there that maybe Ryung could do something very early micro-intensive is that he did actually ask for the server preference this game, which I was personally surprised by. So I came back with my boys with like, oh, Zest HeRoMaRinE, do you want it? But yeah, I guess Ryung, I would have figured that he was quite confident, but apparently not as much as I was thinking. So I'm just throwing it out there because that looked like something that could easily be a ping issue, and obviously it still could because like West is only so good, right? But Ryung, a bit late in that pickup, not compensating quite yet, maybe?
You know that it was me that picked it for Ryung, because it was me that wasn't that confident, actually. So
okay.
I was thinking the whole time, I was like, Ryung's really good in TVP, TVT, but TVZ, I know that Rattata can be very crazy. And sometimes, you know, against Zerg, it's nice to have a little bit of whatever edge you can have when it comes to these cross-server plays. Right now, that +2 armor of Rattata definitely a little delayed here, which could bite him in the butt a little bit, but so far, he's handling all the harass of Ryung really well, and yeah, shutting down all these drops really hard, actually.
I mean, in Katowice, Ryung played, did he play Cyril? Because I could have sworn he was up against like a really good Zerg, and it was surprising how on point he was. Now, eventually he got overwhelmed. It was like a valiant effort until Zerg just punched him in the face. Yeah, maybe it was Rogue. Maybe you're right about that, but yeah, he's a bit late on these pickups, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, because it's not like he's trying to commit to like 8 racks and he's not doing any damage, right? He's on 4 bases. He's got the gold coming up. But it does mean that Rattata gets to get to lurkers. And even with the recent patch, I know that some Terrans still quake in there. They're shivering in their boots about lurkers, especially if they get those upgrades, and the hive is almost done.
You know, when they were talking about nerfing lurkers, I was like, finally, they're going to have less range, less health, less blah, blah, less this, less that. And it's like 0.2 seconds, really? Like, you know, I had that kind of take on it. But no, we'll see how much it comes into play here. Ryung's getting the switches down pretty well, going for like double factory tank, getting the liberators out, going for the ghost very quickly as well. Yeah, I think this is setting up for a very nice little macro game here.
Yeah, I was not expecting this actually. I was thinking maybe, okay, yeah, 3CC211, totally for the Terran player, but a little more spice in the early game. Maybe Rattata having to come back a little bit. Maybe maybe I should have more faith in Rattata, but he's been killed in his previous matches so early on that it's like, oh, backer game, really great, awesome, oh, fantastic, yeah, let's see what you got. Which I think Rattata does actually have a lot to show here. Again, very stable position for the Zerg player, that's for sure. The next case for the Zerg is, it's kind of cracking the Terran shell, which can be difficult to do when, as you pointed out, Ryung has done a great job transitioning and preparing for the late game.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if there's one stage of the game that Ryung is very good at, it's the same one for TVT. Just strategical thinking, where to have units placed, and like just these little things. This tank on the high ground making this wall here. This is smart. It's good trading, but the game's going to get harder for him because, yeah, lurkers are coming out with big upgrades, but these kind of trades are not that efficient for Rattata. Despite killing that CC, there's another one at the north that we see that can just go down right there, and has to be careful. This is these are valuable units for him to lose.
Yeah, I don't want to really lose the Hydras. I mean, with his bank, it's not the worst unit to lose, but it's one of those things that snowballs. And speaking of snowballing, Ryung actually feels confident moving out after that, which makes sense. He's going to have kind of a direct drive up the middle. His tanks aren't all sieged, but not the army of the Zerg player isn't here all together yet either. So that wasn't exactly the pounce that Rattata was hoping for.
Yeah, funny that Rattata's still not been making any lurker whatsoever. Like,
yeah,
Seismic Spine upgrades is done, Adaptive Talents is done as well, and look at what he's making here, ZombieGrub. No lurkers whatsoever in his mix.
I am a bit surprised by that. I don't mind the idea that a Terran player can go really too hard on ghosts, and you try and kind of take advantage of that by just overwhelming them. But in this case, he even specifically sniped the ghost with his Viper Abduct. I would have thought that would have been a sure sign that he wanted to spam lurkers, hoping there wouldn't be enough snipes. But not the situation so far, and Rattata has depleted that bank. He still has a lot of bases, he still has his drones, but this is definitely one of those things where if Ryung can siege hop one more level, then suddenly Rattata is losing like 3 bases worth of reproduction and reinforcements, and that's maybe too problematic.
Yeah, this tank spread in the middle is huge. By the way, it's all off creeps. Even got Liberator support as well to deal with these Hydras in the back. The units on the right side as well, tanking away as well. Oof.
Yeah, Hydras actually didn't go after that Liberator, which I know they really couldn't quite do so, I guess, but that's going to be a continued thorn in Rattata's side, as he finally does add on the Lurkers. That really could have been a much worse fight, though, I will say that. I was looking at the setup, I was looking how far off creep it was, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. But that didn't go as poorly, and I think the really important thing is that he does still have his economy, so as long as he has breathing room, he can replenish and try again.
Ooh, this is a really nice timing for these Lings to come in right before that PF is finishing up, and there will be a land here from a few Marines, which will save quite a few of these SCVs actually and minimizes the damage, but that's the kind of time that Rattata needs, because he is morphing in quite a lot of lurkers now, getting lots more Lings. This middle area not being secured with creep anymore, definitely scary, because that's a lot of tanks, and maybe most importantly, a lot of vision as well, and just map control, right?
Yeah. I like this move around. I mean, you really can't go through the middle for all the points that you were talking about, but going to the right's not exactly working out either. Unfortunately, the ghosts are still going to get these snipes in front of some of the frontline lurkers do go down, but we're still left with 11. That certainly is going to take on mostly a bio army. So Rattata is forcing Ryung to make a decision. You got to move your tanks, you got to move some of your supply, and he is finally going to move it. I mean, over to the right, so he's still kind of controlling the middle to a degree. But I think Rattata is trying to just make some room, open up some pathway that he can actually take a decent direct fight. Or maybe he'll just continue trying to make Ryung pull out of this position entirely. It is possible. Lurkers, even if they end up dying to ghost snipes, they usually do a great job of buying some time. So it's certainly a risk what Rattata's doing, but I think it's an appropriate one.
Yeah, I think he's actually handling this really well, because this isn't a comfortable position to be in at all. Nice trades by Ryung here, but Rattata is not just doing one thing, he's getting ready to take out another base. Ryung behind all this, by the way, is expanding really amazingly. Like, he's on 6 bases right now. Got quite a few extra CCs as well, but the army is revealed, and these lurkers, they're quick, ZombieGrub. They're going to find a lot of places to burrow and just be real pests in Ryung's side, but getting on top of a big army here, maybe a bit too eager.
Yeah, I think he was hoping that with the amount of time he had, he could actually wiggle some lurkers into even the fourth base, I guess it is, the other planetary, but not so. So he does get 2 lurkers on top of some of the bases, and the Lings are just, they're chilling. So they're going to actually pick up all these SCVs, perhaps. But again, I think most importantly, Rattata gets some breathing room. He knows that this army in the middle hasn't advanced, and if it does advance all like this, there's a chance that the lurkers can still hold, although some of them are going to get sniped. And are there any more backup lurkers? Oh, we actually didn't make any lurkers! The 2 lurkers on the side of the map are the only ones that he had.
My goodness, this game got chaotic really fast. 21 SCVs do fall for Ryung, but he's still on 62, and he's got quite a few orbitals to use as well. 5 orbitals at that. A few are in the air, but yeah, he's on front step of Rattata right now, and he's looking strong, but so much red blinking on his side of the map still, so very, very chaotic.
Yeah, he's not actually dealing with the lurker over to the left of his planetary, so his golds aren't really mining as much as it could be. An attempt to break with just Ling Baneling Hydra is not going to work out for Rattata, who might be feeling this game slip through his fingers. The lack of backup lurkers might have been what killed him. I know the argument could be that the Ghost would have sniped, 8 lurkers that he would have rebuilt, but I think they would have bought more time. This is the problem. This fact is that his reinforcements are all going to be coming in from different directions, and if he can make this sort of surround out of that, well, that would be cool. But he's struggling to even get maxed out.
He certainly is. Like, look at the resource loss tab, and yet again, like, it's just been really good trades for Ryung the whole time, and a lot of it is being because Ryung has been very patient, and Rattata just kind of ran into him a lot, right? But
yeah,
maybe Rattata can clean this up, but Ryung, again, just being patient. Like, these tanks are a little bit off creep here, and it's going to be really hard to break out of this one.
Yeah, and I think Ryung notices that there's not enough good units basically on the right side. So there's no Banelings to hold for the Hydras. There's no lurkers again to make this complicated. Rattata's going to try and go for a surrounds, but again, the supply just is not there. So has to tap out. GG. Yeah, I think patience was a big issue. Rattata was, I think, initially doing a great job of trying to kind of logically figure out the situation, but eventually, that with the army so close to such an important position, it was like if you did make a mistake, if you were late to something, if you couldn't draw a line in the sand, basically, then that army is going to advance one step forward, and then you are pretty much screwed. So I think that was really weighing on Rattata's mind.
Yeah, definitely. Like, one thing in my head is whenever I played against Zergs, and it's like as soon as they get those lurkers available, like they use them, right? And then it's just way harder to push, way harder to do anything. But when they did come out, it was like he felt very unconfident with them. And even when he did use them, it was like, okay, I'm going to run around here and do this and be fancy with them. Whereas you see Reina with them, sometimes, as soon as he gets 20 out, it's like, boom, we take fights, we go, which I think also can be very much Rattata's style, like just these massive engagements and stuff. But yeah, that gas bank, the fact that it was so high without them coming, like that in my head would be the very quick, like, you've already got the upgrades online. Like, this isn't even one of those kind of situations. But yeah, definitely gave Ryung a bit of a lifeline there, which quite thankful for ZombieGrub, because as you did mention at the start of this clan war, I did get wrecked by Team Special Tactics. So yeah, I'm happy with that little evening things up.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, DeMusliM. I am. I think it'll continue to swing in your favor, in fact, as Maru versus Showtime is up next. Showtime not having a ton of confidence here, said that ping advantage, server preference might be better used elsewhere. Where he's like, close to the exact words. So
really?
Yeah, I think it was between him and HeRoMaRinE or something, and he was like, I think I'm not going to use it very much versus Maru.
That's actually very nice to say, like, because it's tough, man. It's tough. Like, you're going up against Maru. I think famously he's been very good against Showtime, like historically. But anyhow, spawning over the bottom left of Blackburn here, it is Benny's boy. It is Maru.
In the bottom right, as the green Protoss, it is Showtime.
Maru opting for a fake proxy here on Blackburn, and Blackburn, it's a bit of a tricky one, I feel, against Protoss, but Protosses can often feel very conflicted about how you want to play it. You've obviously got this massive drop location in your main base. We have to fly through those slow zones, but if you're a Protoss getting up to 3 bases, which you can do, it's about what you do afterwards, because that's when you just become so much more vulnerable on this map, because it's not as easy to defend with just Stalkers as it is other maps.
Yeah. I think Showtime, generally, I consider him like most confident and best, I suppose, when you get to that mid game and 3 bases are up and running, as we know him as a macro player. But he's usually very good at, getting to that point as well, right? So he's usually very solid pickup. But I think against some Terrans and a lot of time Korean Terrans, and especially Maru, when he usually would look solid up to those 3 bases, he looks unstable. When usually he would win once he gets to the 3 bases, he actually looks like he doesn't quite feel comfortable in late game TVP, and it's really against like the likes of Maru. I thought it might have been a Korean Terran thing, so I looked this up for Katowice, and Showtime's stats actually aren't that bad against like the broad range of Korean Terrans, but against the likes of Maru, yeah, even though Showtime's usually very confident looking at the very least, I think against Maru it's a different story.
Yeah, like I think Showtime, I think he played Ryung as well at Katowice, and I can't remember what happened between them. Like, I know it was a 2-1, I think, either way, but I remember asking him about some of his games. He's like, yeah, the Terrans here are just playing really damn well, and yeah, it was kind of cool to say, but yeah, Maru's just scary for anybody. Like, no matter who you are, whether you're a Trap, Zest, or any legendary Protoss of the past, there's pretty much one Terran that you never want to go up against, and that's Maru, unless you're called SOS or something like that.
You're right, yeah. And Zound, apparently.
Zound, yes.
I know this is one of the most difficult positions for a Protoss with this type of opener, which is to say that their pylon is actually under attack. Pylon's under attack. You build a shield battery, you micro dance with the guy. But without a shield battery, because you just assume that the pylon's going to get destroyed, it gets a lot worse. It gets a lot more complicated. This kind of sucks, and then the Protoss just has to grit their teeth and deal with it.
Yeah, it's annoying for Showtime, and like the bunker placement as well. It's great for this SCV, right? Like everything has to come down the ramp to then shoot, and I think Showtime might be able to save his pylon. Maru is actually gunning for the pylon now. We'll throw down a grenade to just buy a little bit of extra time to repair this bunker, and you know what? I think Showtime's going to save that pylon. That's actually, or is he?
Oh, is he though?
Guess the
SCV helping out.
Wow.
Yeah, I do think that could have been worse, though. Specifically, if Maru had gotten a second Reaper. Like, the pylon absolutely goes down, and then I think there's a little more room to micro against the Stalker, so you kill, like, the pylon and a Stalker, or even just jet into the main base and kill 2 or 3 probes. So, all things considered, I mean, it seems like a lot, but going off of that, I do actually think that Showtime's feeling at least calm about the situation. He's not panicking because he's facing the great Maru.
I'm really scared for Maru, ZombieGrub. I'm so scared.
Hold on here.
I saw that. Oh, nice.
No, please.
Yes. Okay.
Damn it. So he figured that there's a Cyclone, right? Which makes a lot of sense. So he didn't want to sacrifice his Oracle potentially.
Even a Raven.
Damn.
What would be really bad for Showtime is if he misread this entirely and he was like started building Phoenix or something. But we'll see what happens, because this is a Battlecruiser build, and yet again, which like this must be the new craze in TVP, which I think is awesome. But yeah, Showtime has to try and figure this one out. But everything that he's done so far, including holding off that bunker and stuff, like the resource loss tab, very good for him. Might get a little bit of a cheeky SCV here as well.
No. Yikes.
Isn't it so cool when you're so much more invested in the players and what outcome happens?
I know the fans really appreciate it. The Oracle is now even less inclined to quote unquote suicide into the main, because it thinks it scouted what it needed to scout, which is that it's a cloaked Banshee build. It's absolutely not true. I mean, there's still a chance that you hold against this, because I think if this was like so effective that it won every time you didn't scout, then this would be a much bigger problem for Protosses. And well, maybe time will tell. Maybe it is going to be the biggest problem for Protosses. But I do think that if you react the way that Neeb did, obviously you're going to have trouble. And I mean, well, I guess Neeb thought it was an armory. Showtime thinks it's a cloaked Banshee. I don't know which one sets you up better for facing an actual Battlecruiser and a push to the middle.
Does Showtime think it's a cloaked Banshee? I know it's got the Oracle at home, like just in case. I'm just navigating around the map as well now. He's going for a lot of gateways.
That is true. I wonder.
Well.
Yeah, if you think it's a Banshee build, you get shield batteries in your mineral lines, maybe even pop out a Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that he thought it was a Raven build, honestly. And look at that, Maru mech as well, of all things, after the beast.
Oh.
This is cool.
It is cool. I'm glad we're seeing this, right? But I do wonder if he did assume that the tech lab was a fake, and he just assumed it was a fake for a Raven. Now he knows.
Yeah, the jig is up with this one.
But this is going to be an interesting game to watch unfold because one, mech is notoriously difficult to actually accomplish as a Terran player versus Protoss, and two, Showtime I don't think is in the worst position to kind of go, oh, okay, and then adapt from this. Like, he's going to have a lot of tools to definitely stop the third base at the very least. So we'll see.
Yes, I think the one thing that Showtime isn't happy with is the fact that he did throw down a lot of gateways, got just blink and charge, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to stop a push kind of thing with this. And then it's like, oh, you're going mech? So his tech route is pretty bad, but maybe you're absolutely right that he can come out and just be like, you know what? I'm not stopping a push, but I'm going to stop you entirely, which that could be very scary for Maru.
Exactly. Because you're right. Like, if nothing happens here, then the fact that he's not already on a fourth base and like double forward, something like that, kind of taking this time to build up the truly great Protoss anti-mech army, then you can fall behind. Suddenly you don't break the third, then the mech player says, oh, I'm comfy, they continue building Battlecruisers, and you're in for a tough time. But as I said, I think this is a good chance for the third to be broken. Zealots are just so hard to stop. I'm really speaking from the heart right now as someone who's tried to play mech versus Protoss, and even with a little bit of SimCity, that wasn't enough. So
no.
Now what?
I've also tried the mech versus Protoss ZombieGrub, and
hello?
when I saw Maru doing it, I always get a little bit wiggly, you know? I'm like, oh my god, has he found a way? And now I'm thinking, no, mech sucks against...
It does. It really does. I am shocked at how this has gone down. Showtime winning against Maru was not something any of us expected. Again, Showtime included. He said it would be wasted. Ping would be wasted versus Maru. And you know what's funny is that I feel like facing mech, that's actually... It's even truer, actually. Like, I don't know if you need a lot of ping if you're facing kind of this very immobile composition. Don't have to deal with Widow Mines, apparently. Battlecruisers can be hella annoying, but I think the soccer reinforcements will do the trick.
Yeah, Showtime owned him.
For
Absolutely
sure.
owned him.
Whoa. Okay. ZombieGrub's gonna be honest. She came into this clan war and was like, you know, But now ZombieGrub's like, ugh. I'm excited to Muslim.
I've had better days, ZombieGrub, I'm not going to lie. I've had much better days happen to me than this one. My boy Maru going down like that. Oh.
I am shocked. I don't know what was going through his head. I guess, does he think it's better against like a Phoenix player? If he's expecting something particular on Blackburn?
I'm not entirely sure. I think Zest, or rather not Zest, I think Showtime actually just played really smart. Like overall, like he didn't do anything wrong. He was pretty careful of, if anything, and didn't take too much damage either. Handled the Stalkers well, handled the Battlecruisers very well. Like, lost 3 probes to 2 Battlecruisers turning up. And yeah, I'm looking at a build like that from a guy like Maru. I kind of look at it and I'm like, I don't know how it's meant to work exactly. Which is weird of me to say, because Maru's like, you know, the greatest Terran of all time. But yeah, very curious about that one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we all look at mech and we're like, oh, someone to show us the way. And usually they don't. And if they do, it's because they opened up with like a Widow Mine drop that killed 30 probes already. And you're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you could win with anything, you know? It's like, okay. And people are like, so you make owns. And it's like, come on, this wasn't mech.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. You'd have to, you know, communicate with your best pal, Maru, and see what his strategy was supposed to be.
We'll see what happens, though. This was my... So when I got asked about server preference, this was my first pick for server preference. Because I was like, Skillous is very good. And Prince was my 5th pick. Was Skillous your 5th pick?
No, Rattata was.
So 4th, right?
4th, yeah.
Okay. But I felt that this one could be close for sure. And I wanted to try and give Prince every little edge he had. Because, yeah, I was looking at Showtime versus Maru, and I was like, I thought Maru was going to win that too. But, oh, my heart.
Oh, man. Maybe you're going to get the Grub Lubba Dub Dub treatment of 2019, which is Korean player disappoints.
Well, that's
my boy.
Because all my players are Korean, ZombieGrub.
I know, right? I know. That'd be terrifying. Bottom left of 2,000 atmospheres, it is Skillous.
And spawning over in the top right, it is Prince. Cool to mention, by the way, both these guys on the same team.
Oh, that's a good point. Yep.
But now mortal enemies.
Yeah, of course. What I was gonna say is that you brought up the whole like Korea versus Europe thing earlier. I can't wait because this has to happen, guys. All right, because it's the equivalent. Okay, everyone who complained about Protoss being underpowered because Fear Dragon's team lost, you guys have to say that Koreans are underpowered if they lose this clan war, right? Like that is the official rule. We can say that Korea is the worst.
I liked how they were saying that Protoss is underpowered because Ravi's team lost, and then it turned out his team lost every Protoss mirror, which was like 3 out of 5 or something.
Yeah, it made no sense is actually what I'm getting at. Memes aside, it made absolutely no sense. I am reprimanding Team Liquid hella hard, but it would be quite the tale if my team were to win. This is supposed to be, even in the year 2022, supposed to be favored towards the Koreans. But I think that you're talking about the paying and you know, Prince's chances. I feel like Skillous, this is where he should shine most. Some of his other matchups are still quite difficult. I think he had a wonderful opportunity against Time. People really give Time a lot of credit, and he did win, so fair enough. But I thought that was an okay matchup too. But especially PvP, I think this is going to go well for Skillous. Prince, I guess, has to try and be aggressive, and in the land of Korean PvP, that's well practiced. But he has to do something about this fast nexus.
Certainly does. Like, yeah, the fact that Skillous went for this is far more normal in Europe. I like Max. Everybody played against Max Backs, right? In Protoss Mirror, and he popularized it and showcased that you can survive. Things have definitely changed with like Void Rays being more expensive and building slower for sure. So I'm not sure how you do it these days, but yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Prince brings to the table here, because he's the one going for a Stargate. I don't see any defensive Stargate by Skillous just yet, and maybe the meta's changed entirely.
He did go for, okay, so I was going to say he did go for 2 gateways when Hero went for proxy Stargate. Oh, okay, he's figured it out, which, by the way, during that game, I was so tired, I thought that Hero proxied a gateway. I'm well aware of what's happening now, don't worry, I have my coffee. But a proxy Stargate, I think Skillous was initially concerned it was something at the front. He scouted a little bit more, said, you know what, actually it makes sense that it'd be proxy Stargate. Maybe he doesn't know where, but he's going to find out, actually.
That's a really
it's a Stalker
scout
that finds out, too.
Yeah, super good scout by Skillous. Like, sees the Stargate, when it finishes exactly, and boom, gets to see it's an Oracle as well on the way, and rough for Prince. Will he be able to kill the pylon before? Like, I'd imagine not, but
yeah,
maybe?
I didn't think so. Because I was like, oh, a Stalker. Yeah? Oh, wait, no, it won't kill the pylon. But a second Stalker? And then you recall out, right?
I think yeah. This might give Prince the benefit. Oh, my God. That sucks.
That does suck for your team, actually. And this is really easy for Skillous to hold. He might lose that 1 weak Stalker because it's not going to get energized again, but as long as he blocks the ramp, please, for the love of God, block the ramp, then there's no reason the Adept should do damage. They aren't even gonna find a probe down here, man. That's great. That is fantastic.
It's Skillous revealed his Phoenix, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Prince just cancels that Oracle now.
I feel like he should. What's he gonna do? Pop it out and recall immediately?
I mean, okay.
Oh, no, cancel. I mean, I'm not supposed to cheer for you, but... I guess it'll take fall damage. It'll be okay.
Okay. Okay, that's, I mean, forcing out a few Phoenix isn't bad, but I feel that maybe that could have been avoided entirely. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, Skillous' situation is obviously a lot better. He's got a massive probe lead as well. Prince is forced into doing something a bit crazy here, and the amount of crazy that works in this situation, I'm not sure, but Skillous has played really well.
Yeah, he crossed his T's, dotted his I's, all that good stuff. Skillous nearly misses the Adept block, which wouldn't have been that painful, actually, because the Adepts were very short on Adept shade time. It's only really painful if the Adepts get in kind of to the mineral line in this kind of situation. If they just get on top of the ramp, it's not as bad, but still. But yeah, he just played solid, and Prince put himself in a position to which he had to be sneakier. He had to kind of get away with it for a limited amount of time to say, okay, that was enough. And he just didn't get away with it at all.
No, and look at everything that's happening, by the way, on the production tab. Like, Skillous starts up a robo, as the Dark Shrine started up. I like the position for Prince here, and the fact that he's done it down here, because I would never scout that in a million years. Oh! Okay, that Oracle does turn up, but, you know, it's quickly dealt with, and man, that was the most useless Oracle and Proxy Stargate of all time. God damn it.
I don't know. I might have seen one that didn't even get a stasis trap off, but that was definitely up there. And the Dark Shrine, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's why Skillous should always get a Robo. At the end of the day, he could have also just pumped out an Oracle, assuming the pylon didn't get sniped, but that was the one chance for Prince. No detection, pylon snipe, Observer first. So I still think that Prince might be able to use this kind of as just a macro Dark Shrine, if you will, but Skillous is holding his lead, which is the, I guess, important part.
He certainly is. He certainly is. Or, like, Skillous he's just in a nice spot, isn't he? Like, starting up the third base as well. Like, it's a bit faster than his opponent. He's getting ready for his own little bit of DT shenanigans. Where are the observers, actually, for Skillous? He has them rallied right down to his natural, and he's got one already waiting there at the natural. So that is really good for him as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're scouting with the Phoenix, you see the Stalker is still on the other side of the map, you don't really feel all that obligated to get an Immortal first. Now an Immortal would be nice, because the Stalker count has actually grown. Prince is up by 5, but of course, you know, there's shield battery overcharge, so maybe not the worst. Skillous is going for the same thing. He's thinking the same thing. You know what's funny is that Prince, he is thinking the same thing. He's actually scouting for a proxy gateway.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart, right? Like, if you're capable of doing it, then your opponent is too. And he does actually scout it, which is nice for him. And there is this chaotic situation at the third of Skillous's base. Are those DTs going into the base now? Does look like, well, they're both going to be losing probes here, which is cool.
Yeah. Actually, both of them are going to be losing probes. Skillous was so busy microing that he didn't actually see the DTs enter on that right side. The question is who you know, hurries up and deals with it. And funnily enough, they both deal with it in about the same amount of time. Skillous taking a bit more damage, right? One more probe, and then more lost mining time. So Prince kind of making some moves.
This was quite a lot of lost mining time, actually. Like, yeah. I didn't get to see what happened exactly on the other side of the map in Prince's base, but he looked a lot less startled by the whole thing. And granted, he did go around and scout the proxy and stuff, so that definitely helped him out quite a bit for being prepared.
Yes,
They're both getting ready for the next stage of the game, though, which is, you know, charge lots, Archons, and probes are still falling for Skillous. This has been more than evened out. Yes,
the DT still did their job. Which is really quite unfortunate. So Skillous didn't catch the main one as fast as he should have, and then he only had one observer, so the third one got in and got more damage done. So this is literally evened out, right? Because other things that were happening while the DTs were doing their damage is that there was also kind of indirect damage. All that lost mining time, all the lost gas mining time, perhaps specifically, meant that faster forge is no longer, it's actually slower. So he was going to have a faster +1, he was going to continue his lead, and then he lost out on it because of all of the, you know, kind of panic that sets in. And now Prince has actually a pretty good shot at winning this game, because he maybe goes with a charge +1, Archon up with the DTs, and Skillous is going to have a tough time defending. His biggest benefit is his 2 Immortals.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he's going into Disruptors, like, it's a little bit of a Hail Mary play, right? Like, it takes a while to get those flowing. And the fact that Prince has as many Stalkers as he does, he can blink on top and get some damage done, but he's got a real meaty army that's going to be, like, accompanying him. So, yeah, Skillous is definitely in trouble here. 'Cause will Prince give him the time of day? At the moment, it looks like he will, but more Warpins, +1 is finished now. It feels like this is his time to go. And these Phoenix, they are going to walk around, and seeing that probe at the 4th base as well might be a bit like, aha, we're going into more of a macro game here, but stopping it from happening actually just allows Prince to warp in more units.
Right, yeah. I mean, Prince probably was going to get that behind the attack, but absolutely better for that to be the distraction almost, where Skillous says, oh, I'm fine. You're not fine. You're really not. Although if Prince were to take this battle around the shield battery overcharge, it could still go Skillous's way. His Immortals, unfortunately, are only going to be protected for a little while. Actually, shield battery overcharge.
No.
Thank
Yeah, I
you
was about
very
to
much
say,
for
Prince,
existing.
just run away. Just run away. Get that disruptor on the left. Get it. Yes, good lad. Good lad.
Damn. Yeah, that disruptor would have been beautiful. 2 more are on the way, but Skillous is now out of a shield battery overcharge. The upgrades have evened up, but the Zealots and the Archons, that's what's truly fearsome. Only 1 Immortal helping to kind of punch through maybe the Archons to a degree. Obviously, it does fantastic against the Stalker, but didn't actually get a ton of shots. It seems like it weathered the storm, and even an aggressive blink forward as Skillous realized that, hey, my number is suddenly looking pretty good. Prince, move it into that shield battery overcharge. Ends up being a huge mistake.
You know, several years after it came out, we're still making the, the mistake that, it's not that good, is it? No, it's always better than you think. In fact, I'm thinking that maybe Prince pulled up Skillous's little screenshot, like of that, you know, that one time that battery overcharge didn't save the 2 Colossus kind of thing, and just being like, God damn it, you tricked me.
Amazing. Yeah, this is bad news. This is bad news bears for Prince, who is not on disruptor tech. And if he had gotten all 4 bases up behind this, and he went up to like 70 probes too, I would still believe in his chances. Oh, that observer snipe, please notice the observer snipe. Okay. I believe in his chances of kind of overwhelm, right? Because disruptors, they can, you know, literally be hit or miss. And if you have enough economy and you throw enough units, we've seen that work. But considering that Skillous is not going to have the economic lead, Prince needs to hope for, I guess, TTs to once again do damage.
Yeah, definitely is. And, you know, taking some little engagements here. They are all on Skillous's side of the map, which is good and bad. Allows him to get reinforcements directly and gets to fight in the range of shield batteries and stuff. Skillous is starting to go into his own charge tech, by the way, which is also quite cool for him. Prince, on the other hand, went for Blink DTs of all things, which definitely cool, but... And he is going for disruptors of his own now, which is also nice.
Yeah. Has to definitely do that. And he is so late to it, though. 5 disruptors. Prince, I think, just has to keep Skillous at home. And then he can build up maybe 3 of his own disruptors pretty quickly. And then there's a real chance for, you know, fireworks and anything to happen. But if he can't keep Skillous on his side of the base, it's almost like facing a Terran player with Liberators. You know, if they get you backed into a corner, you have a pretty bad time. You literally don't have room to micro, and they're just going to continue sending, in this case, disruptor balls at you. So, and with the bases, the 4th bases being so close to each other, Prince still kept with that. That means that it's even scarier. Skillous could realize he has a tremendous lead, push forward once he deals with any run bys, and then Prince is going to lose his 4th base. Of that, I'm almost certain. This might be that moment.
Yeah, this is a lot of green Protoss right now, and it's backed up with disruptors. I wouldn't be surprised if Skillous realizes that he can start aggressively blinking as well. Prince needs to, like, accumulate all his forces now, because this is a scary army that he's going to be up against. I keep looking at supplies, and Prince just bounces back all of a sudden, so massive warp-ins from him, but his... Oh! Okay, his Dark Shrine will be revealed now, and, oh, these disruptors.
Ooh, that was his only disruptor. Skillous making sure to take that Zelnaga. You always want to be blinking a Stalker forward if you can't have any other form of vision. A Revelation is usually really helpful here too, assuming that your Oracle doesn't just immediately get sniped, but poor Prince lost the Stargate. Well, I guess they both still have the Stargate, but unpowered. This is the attack that I was talking about. This is just absolutely brutal for anyone in Prince's position to hold against. Oh, God, that was a little bit late. I think Skillous was looking at his own disruptor shot, not his Stalkers. But the good news is Prince already took a couple of shots to the face as well.
Yes, and look at the... Oh, my goodness.
Yes! Oh, my God, we're going to win! We're going to win! We're going to win! That's unexpected.
Oh, are you
DTs! Oh, my God, the DTs. This is a diamond player I'm looking at right now. Jeez Louise.
Yes, you are going to win this one, it looks like. And oh my God, he dodged them! They're magnetized!
G freaking G, we did it! We did it! I'm so proud of my boys.
There is a chance I can lose this one 1-4. Like a very real chance, because Zest versus HeRoMaRinE with HeRoMaRiNE's favored server. That is rough, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, I do have some good news for you, DeMusliM. Apparently, HeRoMaRinE had stomach flu yesterday.
Yes, too much pizza.
So he says he's fine for a map, but he's really not feeling all that great.
Oh, thank God. Finally, something going Penny and the boys' way. Oh my God. Bloody hell. You know, this ain't a good start for me, you know? Like, I'm playing in a tournament later as well. I was like, I'll get 2 wins on the board today. I'll go into a tournament. I'll try and do my best there, you know? And even if I do badly, I'll have these 2 wins earlier. But Oh, terrible.
Oh, I just want to highlight just how much of a team player Rattata is for a second. He's like, thanks for carrying me. Gonna try and step it up too. Oh, I'm just so proud of everyone. Rattata, you don't have to feel bad.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna
emotional.
I'm gonna shit on my boys. What happened? Question mark. Why didn't you do this? You're the most annoying team captain of all time. No, I'm not gonna do that really.
I would love for you to do that, and it's just like I imagine like an office-like setup. The Office, rather, not the TV show, where the Korean players who don't actually speak English fluently are just like,
look at me, and they're all like looking at each other, being like, "What's he saying? Like,
yeah, what's he saying?
Why is he mad?
Why is he mad? I don't understand. I don't know. We were just having fun. What's wrong with this guy? Maru specifically. I was just having fun. No, have to be mad, DeMusliM. Jeez.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, ZombieGrub. Like, mech on Blackburn against. Either way. You know, this is letting everybody get to grips with the tournament. You know, like our players as well. It's our first day. It can only go up from here, I guess.
True. That's true.
Or further down.
The amazing thing is that once any of us win at least one series, like our confidence just skyrockets back up, right? So here I am, rubbed it in your face. It's because it's my first win. You know, you're gonna win your next match or something like that, and then your confidence will skyrocket again. Don't worry.
First win. God damn it! Now it feels even worse. You know, I want to. God damn it. Okay. Spawning over in the top left of Berlingrad, it is Zest.
In the bottom right, as the, I guess usually people would say is the ace of the Grub-Dubs, he is HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, your team's fairly well-rounded.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. We don't really have the most standout star. And actually, I got into a little argument, you know, all friendly and whatnot, but a little argument with my Twitch chat about HeRoMaRinE, because people were just basically ragging on me for not picking him first, because I was like, I could have picked him first, then eThermal second, but I really wanted to have eThermal on my team. And they're like, well, it was so lucky that he was available, okay? And I kind of pointed out, like, actually, you know, the point is, he was available. Like, people, for some reason, despite his placement in Katowice, I don't think gave him quite the same weight as literally, like, the 12 picks before him, right? So I thought that was kind of surprising, because even I was like, oh, HeRoMaRinE. Oh, yeah, yay! That's a great choice. So I don't know why he doesn't quite elevate to be top pick.
Yeah, it is funny how it works like that, because, you know, Katowice, the biggest tournament of the year, HeRoMaRinE definitely did well. Potentially outperformed himself a little bit. Or, you know, went beyond where he thought he could. I can't remember who he played in the top 8, but it all felt like, all right, HeRoMaRinE can do it, like he can. And then he was 2-0 up against Raynor as well in like the semis, and I was actually scared for Raynor at that point, but which I never thought I would say, that I'm scared for. Oh, he beat Solar in the top 8. I mean, that's a big surprise, because I would have felt that Solar would have won, but yeah, definitely he's a player that's going up and up, but we're all cynics in a way, that we're all like, it was one tournament though. Like, if he can keep on doing it, then we can start believing, right? Because whenever we've seen Europeans have these good tournament runs, like I'll pick a player like Lambo, it's all, as soon as the hot air balloon's lifting and all our hopes raising, it just immediately gets shot at, you know, and it goes flying down kind of thing.
That is a very good point. I think you're spot on. That's kind of the reason. If HeRoMaRinE would continue doing it, then obviously he would be significantly elevated, and he'd be, you know, chosen faster than Rogue or Maru or something like that. But, you know, you had a lot to prove before you chose before Maru. It's at Zest, it would also be a fine first pick for a lot of people, but he's kind of in the opposite boat, where his recent results have not been very good, on top of the impending retirement at any point now. So he's a kind of a question mark in that regard. I feel like we have the person on the rise versus the person sinking down a little bit, actually, in this one match.
Yeah, you know, you should hold the phone a little bit here, ZombieGrub. We do have a Hellion opener, which is spotted.
You're right.
But yeah, we'll see how this goes, because I think this so far is pretty good for Zest to be able to spot what he's up against. Like, as long as he doesn't lose these 2 Stalkers, which could actually happen, but this is still quite a bit of economic damage being done. Like, lost mining time, 2 Oh! Wow! Oh, HeRoMaRinE! Wow! Prioritizing getting over to the base to deal economic damage faster, or
I think maybe he was wondering if there was reinforcements, or he was just hoping to catch them while they're still running. Yeah, that makes sense, because if he catches them instead of trying to chase after them, then they can't micro as much, right?
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily pan out perfectly.
Little unusual, though. Little unusual. Like, Zest is never easy to go up against, and that wasn't quite a block with that Stalker, but Phoenix are revealed, and this is just a bit of a rough start for HeRoMaRinE, honestly. Like, this is not what you wanted at all.
Yep, the early aggression has really thrown HeRoMaRinE off. I know he's doing early aggression too, right? But his early aggression kind of depends on someone playing at least to 2 bases normally. So not attacking you. Maybe they're gonna attack you. Maybe they're gonna get a blink into your base. But the fact that it's early aggression, yeah, Hellions can't really deal super well with that. They get super scouted. And then HeRoMaRinE's a bit worse for wear. We'll see how he can play it out. At the very least, he saved his medevac. He didn't waste starport production trying to make this work. But that's all I got. That's the only hopium for this match.
Yeah, and now the Phoenix can do what Phoenix do, where they're just like, hey, yeah, we're here to stay. I think they'll get to spot the starport coming home as well, which is always kind of like, oh, you were planning that? Aha, and it got shut down? Oh, I didn't even see that. Like, I didn't know about it. That's always nice.
That is a double confirmation that you really screw up their plan. So, that is nice for Zest. The problem, I guess, for Zest is that it feels like he'll get into good positions, but he's been prone to making perhaps even more Zest-like mistakes recently. That's my diagnosis anyways. Where we know that he has made some mistakes, all pro gamers do, but he usually just wins with almost like sheer brute force. He's already in too good of a position, or he wins because his micro is really good or something along those lines. But now it seems like he's kind of making some wrong decisions heading into the mid or late game. I'm saying this not to say that HeRoMaRinE's going to win, by the way. I'm saying this as a Zest fan who is very curious if he's actually on the downward trend, you know? This is kind of me watching something under the microscope, especially because I already won.
Well, I'll have you know, Zest, or rather Jess, calling you Zest for a moment. I'll have you know that Zest Bank hasn't gone very high so far. So he's actually looking like he's escalating, if anything. Like, he wants to go out with a bang on his way out. By the way, it's kind of funny that StarCraft 2 players, like, we talk about how they never retire, in the sense that when they say they retire, then they still keep on playing, but in Zest's case, like, he's going to the military, but it's also like he's never going to the military truly. It's like, I can't believe how long he's avoided it for at this point.
Yeah, Schrodinger's military, really. He's constantly in the process of going and not going. So we'll figure out one day if he actually does go. This is not looking so hot. HeRoMaRinE's not expecting this whatsoever. And the Colossus is going to beam down these Marines lickety-split. There is no blink, so an evacuation is possible. To a degree, I guess. Actually, there's Phoenix. That's why there's no blink. But, well, let's see. Maybe an SCV pull.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be rough. Like, Zest... Oh, my God. That is the most ballsy War Prism.
The War Prism! Why, though? Zest, please.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that was crazy. A lot of the big firepower does go down. Nice spread by HeRoMaRinE, like, minimizing this Colossus damage, but these Phoenix being a proper thorn in his side, and... Yeah. Oh... Down and out, on his way down, is it ZombieGrub? I'll have you know. Zest will have you know. Yeah, about that life.
I wonder if he had SCV pulled. That felt like one of those things where you are pretty much resigned to death. So when you actually have a good chance, you kind of like tilt your head to the side and you're like, huh, what if though? But of course, you already kind of resigned yourself in that game. So you do put 2 points on the board, but it's okay. I'm still not really all that convinced by that Zest in that game.